are pretty common there, I guess, of bottlenose dolphins using cooperative strategies such as herding fish into tight bait balls and employing echolocation to stun their prey. It's kind of cool. Nature being rolled out right there in front of you. Nice job. Live look, folks, South Texas, courtesy of EarthCam. George C. spotting Newsmax on a boat house, bar, and grill in Athens, Texas. If you're out and about and you see Newsmax on a screen, it's going to come up here any second now, I hope. Snap photo and send it to us at iSpotted, Newsmax.com. Newsmax.com. Okay, folks. Treasonous conspiracies, shady cover-ups, and ultimately a weaponized government against President Trump at the hands of crooked Democrats. All recent headlines, right? Internal investigation by the Department of Justice reveals that James Comey's FBI ignored key evidence in Hillary Clinton's homebrew server investigation. Add to that, the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. Latest referral to the DOJ highlights the Obama regime's efforts to push the lie that became the Russiagate hoax against President Trump. Craziness. Let's talk with Republican Senator of the great state of Kentucky, Senator Rand Paul. Good to see you, Senator. You know, I've said that since evidence is being produced that the Russia collusion hoax was fabricated and not based on reality, that it's time for the perpetrators to go to jail. What say you?
You know, I've been surprised since the very beginning that this hasn't generated more of a firestorm. Even from the very beginning when it was happening in the end of 2016, early 2017, and there were reports that the Obama administration was sending out intelligence throughout the government to protect it from Donald Trump. It turns out they were also fabricating and changing the intelligence. So the intelligence after the election in 2016 said, oh yeah, the Russians, like always, were dabbling here and there on Facebook, but they had really no impact on the election. But when Trump won, they wanted to make it illegitimate. They wanted to cast aspersions. They wanted to make him an illegitimate president. So they concocted this whole thing. They changed the intelligence, changed the conclusion, and said, oh, the Russians controlled the election. The Russians controlled Trump. And then they used the entire apparatus of the intelligence agency against a major party's candidate and a major party's president. Can you imagine if this force were being used against an ordinary American citizen? So this is the kind of thing libertarians, conservatives, small government people have been warning about for a long time, that the intelligence community has so much power that put into the wrong hands, incredible injustice could occur. And I think that's what happened here, and I'm proud of Tulsi Gabbard for bringing it forward.
Yes, and would any Democrat accept equal treatment in the same way against one of their candidates, I'm forced to wonder. Senator, you've referred His Eminence, Dr. Anthony Fauci, to the Department of Justice for criminal prosecution. But as you know, Dr. Fauci received a pardon from President Otto Penn. In a recent interview, Joe Biden admitted he didn't review every one of those pardons. Do you think your criminal referral could be the first test case to challenge what many are calling Joe Biden's unconstitutional pardons?
I think it's a perfect test case. It's not a long, rambling sort of investigation. Did he or did he not lie to Congress on whether or not he funded gain-of-function research? We know from the people who received the money that when the money was interrupted between 2014 and 2016 and then was turned back on, they wrote a thank you note to the NIH and they said, thank you for turning back on our gain-of-function research money. We know that an interim director of the NIH also admitted that the research in Wuhan was gain of function. So yes, I think we've got a sort of an open and shut case. And what'll happen is if he were indicted by the DOJ based on the evidence of whether he lied or not, I think then the court will have to test the pardon. And I think there is a real problem with things signed by a machine overseen by the First Lady's chief of staff, and the president's unclear whether he ever saw any of these or approved of these. I know that in the Obama administration, there was a time when he was flying overseas, I think to India, and a big bill passed, and he wasn't going to be there to sign it. And there was a question, you know, if a president doesn't sign it over a certain period of time, that's a pocket veto. You know, the bill fails without being signed. And so he signed it by auto pen. But even then, Obama acknowledged, you know, as soon as I get home, I'm going to sign it for real. And so even then, they really acknowledged that auto pen may not be good enough for legislation. I think it's probably not good enough for these pardons.
You know, folks, I thank God for my wonderful wife, my kids, my country, the greatest nation ever. And Americans like you who believe in the truth, the Chris Salcedo Show will never stop fighting for you.
The Chris Salcedo Show, for the news you need to know.